are you doing today? I am so thrilled to be here. And, I just want to have this conversation that there are moments when your brain just stops cooperating. And it's not because you don't know what to do, but because there's just too much going on right now. And there's too much coming at you at once. And I am seeing this so much. It's like your system is trying to process everything, your decisions, the people in your lives, your responsibilities, things that need your attention. And it seems like almost everything needs your attention, right? And at some point, it just it goes like, this does not compute. And if you see the action that I'm doing right now, it reminds me of an old show. And this will tell your age because the show was called Lost in Space. And in Lost in Space, they were in space and there was this robot, and it was kind of like RTD2. And you know who that is too, or you should. And whenever humans would do something or say something that this machine could not understand, it would frail his arms and say, "This does not compute. This does not compute." And that's kind of what is happening in our brain. And you're still there and you're still functioning and you're still doing what needs to be done because that's just who we are. But something in you has actually slowed down, or maybe even it froze because there was too much coming at you. And what makes this confusing is that you know what you can do, you know who you are, you know how you show up, right? You're capable and you've always been capable. You're the person that everybody relies on. You're the one who always figures it out. If there's something going on, if there needs to be an answer, you can figure it out. You can tell them what needs to be done, right? And what happens is that somewhere along the way, somewhere in the midst of all this, being capable started to mean that you're constantly available. Maybe not physically, but you are available emotionally or mentally. Somehow you're available. And that's where things begin to break down. That's what we're talking about today. And I'm Michelle O'Neill, and you're on Break Time Live. And I know we're early, and sometimes, but it is still Thursday. I told you I'd be here Thursday. So this is not just that there's a lot happening, it's that everything is happening at the same time at once, and nothing is being completed. Nothing is getting done to the way that you would like it to. And so I got a perfect example this week because I want you to see and understand exactly what I'm talking about. I want you to feel what I'm talking about so you can identify it the next time you find yourself in the middle of it. And it's part of our everyday life. So the other day, we were dealing with our car. We had some car issues and it actually wouldn't move. So we weren't there with the car and we had to get in touch with AAA. And then my sister, who was there with the car, we were talking to her on the phone. So we were talking to AAA and her on the phone, right? So there's this three-way conversation going on. And then at the same time, we also needed to talk to the dealership because we needed to find where we're going to take the car, which dealership, who we're going to take the car to, who the car was going to be towed to. And so now we have a fourth person in the mix. And so in the midst of that, my husband was talking to my sister-in-law, and the Then he tried to get on the phone with the dealership, right? So he does that. And that conversation, she gets dropped off. And so I call her on my phone, and now I'm talking to her, and she's with the another AAA person. So now we got what? How many people in this conversation? One, two, three, four, five people in this conversation. And she asks me a question. I'm looking over and I'm asking my husband a question. He's trying to talk and get this information from this guy who's talking to him. So he's trying to hear him. And then he hears me calling him. And she's trying to get an answer for the AAA. So you see all this? You see how my arms are just going all over the place? That's how it felt. That's that was going on. And it sounds simple, but it wasn't. It wasn't at all. There was too much going on, right? And so, in the midst of this, no one's hearing each other. There's too much going on, and no conversation is actually getting finished because it's like, hold on a minute. I need to hold on. You get it? Everything is in midstream. And even sitting there while it was going on, I'm sitting there and I'm being aware of how I'm feeling in the midst of this. And I can see the frustration on my husband's face. I can see the frustration. I can hear the frustration in her voice. And I can feel the frustration in me. Not that we're frustrated at each other, but the situation that we're in the midst of. And you feel your brain start to actually just tighten up like, wait a minute, who's talking to who? Stop the noise. What decision are we making? What decision needs to be made? What's already being handled? And what hasn't? And it's that moment that I'm talking about. And if you've ever been in a situation like that, raise your hand. Tell me, I get you. I've been there. I know what you're talking about. This is the moment that our system says, I can't process this. It's too much. Not because we're not capable, but because there are just too many inputs and no space, none, to actually process any of these things. And so, how many times are we doing this in our life? How many times do we find ourselves in this situation during our day? Simple things like you're home, you're cooking. One of the children comes and needs help with the homework. Your husband walks in and he's looking for something and he asks you where it is. And while you're doing that and you're trying to take care of them, you forget that there's something on the stove that you need to tend to that needs your constant attention. You see that? All those inputs, and really nothing gets done, and the food may burn. At the same time, you may yell at somebody because there's too much input coming in at once. And this happens at your job too. There's one person standing there in your office talking about going over a meeting that needs to be um, coordinated and that you need to talk through so you know what's going on. And at the same time, all of a sudden, this email pops in that's from something important that you know you need to take care of. So now your brain is thinking about how you're going to formulate what you need to say on that email. You're trying to listen to this person and kind of really tune in to what needs to be done for this meeting. And then what happens? The boss calls and you see the number. And so you have to make this decision in the middle of this. Who am I going to talk to first? What am I going to take care of now? This is how we live. Everything is happening in real time. And we're trying to process all of it at the same time. And so, why does this keep happening to women like us? You know what came to me when I thought about this is that we're like a thread. And when I talk about a thread, I used to knit. And I don't know where this thought came from, but it did. And I used to knit. And so I want you to stay with me for a moment. And if you've ever knitted something, even if you haven't, if you worn something that has been knitted, you realize it can be a beautiful piece of art. It can be absolutely amazing, right? Everything in that sweater or whatever is woven together. It's working together, it's holding together, it's bonding together. But if you see one thread out of place and you pull it, the whole thing starts to unravel. Everything. So what do? You don't pull it. What you've learned to do is to secure it, to maybe knot it, to make sure that it's taken care of. So you tie it and you make sure that that thread holds. And that's what we've become. That thread that is holding everything together, that becomes knotted sometimes inside. We're that thing. And somewhere along the way, we've learned that if we don't hold it together, everything can start unraveling. So what do? We stay in place. We hold that tension. We keep everything moving and on track. We make sure that things are done. We make sure that people are taken care of. We make sure that nothing's forgotten, nothing gets dropped, and everything keeps running smoothly. And it's not even something that you think about anymore. It's just how you function, because you are the one that everyone depends on. You are extremely capable and you care tremendously. You don't let things go undone and unfinished. That's just not you. You make sure that everything and everyone is okay. But what that means is everything starts rooting through you. And now you're not just living your life, you're living everyone else's life as well. What starts happening over time is you become the product of your own making. And I hesitate saying that because that sounds so harsh. But you've become the machine. Because here's what I keep seeing. We say we simplify, right? We're working on simplifying. We say that we're cutting things down. We're making things more simple. We say that we're making life easier. And on paper, in our planner, on our calendar, it looks like we are. We really are. For those of us who are entrepreneurs, there's less offers, there's a cleaner system, there's more automation nowadays. I love AI and what it can do and how efficient it makes me. But even with all of that, it doesn't actually feel easier. If anything, it just lets you do more. I see this everywhere. We're building systems, AI, we're building teams and automation. And yes, it is more efficient. Absolutely. And the amount of information you can just plow through, it works. Absolutely. But over time, it doesn't feel like relief. It feels like now I can handle more. Now I can produce more. Now I can take on more. Even when you try to balance it and you say, I'm taking on more, yes, but that more you're taking on could be more of spending time, more and more and more time with family. And it's great. I'm not saying it's wrong. And more of trying to be present and more of trying to enjoy life, all these things we want, absolutely. But even that takes from you because you're still the one holding everything. You're still thinking. You're still planning. And you know what? You're still absorbing. So, in a lot of ways, nothing actually slows down. And that's when it starts to hit you. This isn't a time problem. This isn't even a structure or an organizational problem. Something about how we're living, something about how we're functioning is what's creating this. I used to think this whole nervous system thing was, I don't know, kind of woo woo, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm just being honest. I used to just kind of throw it out of mind. Yeah, right. And what I'm sharing with you now kind of makes me feel emotional because I didn't understand it before. I used to say, I don't like people, but that's not true. It's not that I don't like people, it's that I care too much about people. And that is stimulation. And it's that stimulation, that constant being on, that constant input to your nervous system, to yourself, to your brain, to your thoughts. It was too much for me to handle. And I don't think we talk about that too much enough. Even now, I can sit in certain classes and that stimulation, that constant input can be too much. I can be in my own business sometimes. And the amount of stuff that I'm taking in and that I do can be too much. And it makes you start questioning things about yourself. Like, can I do this? Can I actually do this? Can I hold this? Can I be there for the people the way I want to be? because it's not about willingness. Get this, it's about capacity. But here's another side to that. Even with all of this, I also know I can't not do this because it's that important. You are that important. And it's that important that we understand what's happening to us. And that there is a way to actually support ourselves through it all. I know today I've given you a lot to think about, and maybe even something new or a new way to think about some things in your life. I want you to know that there is actually a way to support ourselves through this all. And if you want to know more, let me know in the comments, DM me, wherever you are. I want you to know how you can support yourself. Look, I'm Mischelle O'Neill, and you're on Break Time Live. And I am honored that you took time today to break with me, to give me some of your precious time. Thank you. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.